Faders of the Lost Art.
Welcome to Faders of the Lost Art, live at NAMM 2024, baby. Dating ourselves. This NAMM has been incredible. It's packed to the max.
Yeah, it's like back to normal.
All the coolest people are here.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's back to normal. That's what it is. Well, welcome, guys. I'm just sitting here casually with some of the coolest people on earth. Bob Horn, Willie Linton, Fab Dupont, Stephen Slate. Some of the coolest people on earth. If I have to explain to you their credits, then I think there's something wrong with you, not them. But yeah, what's up, guys? How we doing?
Life is good.
Good?
Yeah, things are good. It's fun to be back here. It's my first time back since 2019.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did 15 of them before that,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
I took a 5-year hiatus, of course, with COVID. That helped. But
No wonder it feels normal again, because you're back, Steve.
there you
Exactly.
go. There you go. I'm back.
That's awesome, dude. Man, so good to have everyone here, and it really does feel like home. It's awesome. Me and Dave always talk about it. This is our musical new year, you know? It's cool to see everyone's faces, and we had New Year with our family, but this is our like work New Year. It's like all the new stuff coming out, all the new relationships we get to create, and all the, you know, all our old friends we get to have our homie New Year.
Speaking of Dave, I got to run into him yesterday. It was really nice to see him.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, he
he's
is the
awesome,
man.
kicking butt.
He is
You
the
know,
man.
still got his show running. He's probably been doing his show for 10 years strong here at NAMM.
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know?
at least.
At least. Insane. So, yeah. And Fab came in from New York.
I did.
He just hosted us at Flux Studios in New York
was
after
a
AES.
party.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
We like to party.
Yeah, the Flux party. If you guys have, it's a legendary party. It's a mythical
With the best gummy bears ever.
experience.
Best
Yeah.
gummy bears in the universe.
Yes.
Oh, everything. It was just next level. It was astral. It was spatial.
What's going on with these gummy bears?
Oh, it's just I like gummy bears, analog ones. You know, like classic ones, not
Classic
not
analog.
California gummy bears.
Oh, I got you saying because we've got gummy bears in California.
I know.
These had a kick to them, and I don't mean like a marijuana edible kick. They just had a natural.
No, I sourced the best gummy bears in the land,
I got you.
Yeah.
and we
Okay.
have a champagne and gummy bear party.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's the most opposite thing you can do from champagne is gummy bears. So I thought this is appropriate.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's what we do. So I buy 228 bottles of champagne and 4 pounds of gummy bears.
Oh my God.
And they're gone at the end of the night. Everything's gone.
Well, that sounds fun. I'm gonna have to make that next year then.
Yes.
Make the trek up to
well,
New
next
York.
year it's going to be a little different.
Okay.
It's still going to be champagne. There may be gummy bears. This year we had a badass brass band, the Mighty Mighty
Yeah.
Brass Band from Brooklyn. It was
Yeah.
absolutely epic. Which may it's going to be hard to top that. So I decided I was going to change the whole thing. So this is going to be a little more theatrical next year.
Wow.
It's going to be like, be there.
Nice.
And a lot of beautiful ATMOS rooms in there. Every room is just state of the art and just beautiful, and the vibe. It's like
It's
that
a cool building.
that
Like, the
cozy
building is
that
cool.
cozy
Yeah.
vibe. It's like I feel like I'm at home. I could just chill.
For us
You're
LA
welcome
guys,
anytime.
for LA guys, it's a totally different building
yeah.
vibe than we're used to.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, yeah.
I mean, I've been to one of the parties years ago.
Yep, I remember.
Unfortunately, there was no gummy bears at that party. But
No, that was pre-gummy bears.
Yes,
Stephen was wronged.
We had
Yes.
chocolate at that party, actually.
I missed that though.
It
too.
was a chocolate.
I remember drinking a lot of wine.
Yes,
and,
there was a
and
lot
it
of
was a
wine.
good party, and you had a great band. You had a great band. It was
Yes.
and you probably knew who it is. It was a French band with a great female French singer.
Cyril Aimé,
Oh, amazing!
one of the most badass motherfucker in the universe. Yeah.
Unbelievable band.
Nice.
Yeah, everyone was like partying, getting drunk. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this band for a while because they're freaking amazing.
She actually
Yeah.
has an amazing. She's a world-class touring jazz artist. She was on Mac Avenue label, and then she went indie, and she is incredible. She's kind of like the embodiment of Django Reinhardt music, you know,
Yeah.
sort of gypsy music. But she sings also the songbook, the American songbook, in that style.
What is the name again?
Cyril Aimé. That's what people call it. Cyril Aimé.
Cyril Aimé.
Cyrilleaime.
All right.
Lots of French spelling.
Yeah.
She's amazing, and she's the best, in my opinion. Not because she's French, has nothing to do with it, but she's the best jazz vocal improviser alive right now.
I mean, she was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, she was really good. I was mesmerized. And we're at this party. I'm expecting to go, unwind after an AES. And I was like, oh, my God, this band is so cool.
Yeah.
And she's so good.
Yeah, it's all gypsy. It's all from the same little village in France. And the musicianship is surreal. It's really, really great.
I like that France still has villages.
Yeah, we do.
We have a shortage of villages here in
We sure
the
do.
good old United States.
Yeah, well, the distances
You
are
don't live
shorter.
in Burbank Village?
Cool.
So you guys see anything cool at the show so far?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are cool. I think everything's cool. Like what's not cool in this room? There's just so much fun stuff. Everywhere you walk, everyone's showing cool, fun stuff that helps make music. I love it. I love it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Everybody's really. I mean, it's crazy. Think about it. I was thinking about this yesterday. I had two thoughts. Thought number one: I don't really care about gear anymore. For some reason, I'm like I have a saturation. It's like it's all wonderful, and I know how hard it is to make all that stuff, and I have so much respect. But for me, in my process, I feel like I've reached a point where I don't care. I just want to care about the song, which for me I was like, wow,
That's great.
cool. I'm an adult now, and then which is nice. And the other thing is, you can get unbelievable shit for so cheap. Like you can build yourself a recording studio or a mixing studio or whatever the hell you do studio for $2,000, and it's awesome. And it was unthinkable 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like there's
it's
no
true.
way. Like it's so democratic. Like anyone, which may be a bad thing, I don't know, but at this point, anyone with an idea and talent or vision or energy can come in and get the gear they need to do world-class work. I think that's amazing.
I agree. I think that is amazing. I think that is the dream. I mean, anyone who wants to create some art has now the opportunity, ability, and financial ability to do so. And I think that's a really cool thing. And you're right. That didn't exist 10 years ago. It certainly didn't exist when I was a youth in the 90s. I mean, my first entry into recording was the Yamaha 4-track cassette recorder and an Elise's MIDI Verb and an
MIDI
Elise's
Verb.
3630. And
Yeah.
that was it. That was the home studio. That was it.
And you
know?
had, I had to save forever. It was a hole in the pocket. Like I couldn't. I think this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This memory just went in my head. One of the first digital all-in-one studios was the Fostex. It's called a DMT-12. Maybe I'm off on that. Someone will Google that and realize
Sounds
maybe
right.
I'm wrong. Yeah, and it was like 100 megabytes or something like that. Or it was
Like a hard disk recorder.
Yeah, like a hard disk recorder, and it was like this all-one digital workstation. Had a high and low shelf EQ, and I remember making some music on that. And then Roland came out with the little all-in-one hard disc.
The
Does anyone know-
VS880.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
ES880.
VS.
VS880.
Yeah,
My
that was a
God.
classic.
Yeah, that was all. And then ADATs.
Yep.
That started and then ADATs started to slowly migrate into pro studios. I'm like, oh wow, digital is actually happening now. And just when the Tascam was the Tascam
D88.
38 or 88.
D88.
D88, and those kind of start, and then all of a sudden, Pro Tools.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I was born after that.
But
Yeah,
these are great times to make music if you want to make music.
Yeah, but the point is, look at where we've come from and how this has exponentially grown into what it has. It's really cool.
It's phenomenal, man. Like, I remember when I first got out of school and working in the big studios, and nobody could do anything, play music, listen to anything, unless the engineer was in the seat, because they couldn't operate anything. And now, producers and artists, they come in with their rig and give you a cable, and they're running the show. you
Yeah.
know? It's like a whole different world. It's
Yeah.
like, and it forced us to sound old because we get to say, you guys have it so easy now compared to how we have
It's true.
it. you
Well,
know?
they do.
They do.
They really
Maybe
do.
not. Think about it. We know we've been doing this a minute and a half, right?
Yeah.
Imagine coming in now, right? When you come in and your options are, you want to put a little rig together. Well, your option is a 3630. Good luck, and that's it. You come in today. Say you don't have the wealth of knowledge we've accumulated over the years.
True.
The level of overwhelming information there is.
Good
People
point.
freak out.
Good
so
point.
the problem for people now, and I talk because of PureMix, I talk to a lot of guys who are like trying to learn and everything. They freak out. They come in here and they're like, where do I go? What do I do? Where do I start? Is this better than this? Why? There's so much hype. There's so much information. There's so much choice that we didn't have.
Option paralysis.
This is exactly what's going on. It's freaking people out. There's too much stuff going on.
I agree. You know, it's funny. I mean, obviously, I just formerly owned a plugin company that had lots and lots of plugins, and I always thought it was weird when we, come out with all these plugins and someone would be like, oh, but what about this processor?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I've worked in, when I was younger, I worked in all these studios, and like you'd have the console, maybe it was an SSL, and have some onboard stuff, and then you have a rack of like, 5 or 6 outboard EQs and 3 or 4 outboard compressors, and that was it. And you have one of each of those. So it's like you'd mostly use the console, and you'd patch a few of the goodies in as needed.
On the important instruments.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And somehow we made a lot of records like that. We made a lot of good records with, like a few racks. And like now, in this plugin business, we were offering, every single channel could have one of 15 compressors, EQs, and this and that. And people would be like, oh, but I need this. And I wanted to be like, no, you don't even need half of this stuff. You should just be focusing on what these things can do to make records. Now, that's not to diss out any of the plugin companies, and plugins are great, and options are great too. But, I think that what's missed in the newer generation is that, it really comes down to your ears and making this piece of music and crafting it, and then having the skills, experience, and talent to do whatever it takes with whatever gear and whatever plugins and whatever processors you have.
Yep.
All right, that's a great that's a great segue to a question that I usually don't ever ask, but what is it? The Deserted Island plugin. What's your Deserted Island
plugin?
Or a piece of equipment. It could be.
Oh, okay.
I guess if you choose a console, then that's quite a bit of work you can do with one piece of gear. But what's one piece of gear that's your desert island?
The only piece of gear I can't work without is my speakers.
That's a great one.
That's it. Everything else is a detail.
That's a good point.
What are your speakers?
Key 3s.
Oh,
those happen to be mine as well.
Oh wow.
So what's the brand?
Key 3.
Okay.
The 3 is the model number.
Oh, okay.
And Key is the brand. Not sure the marketing is the best there, but it's life-changing.
How do you spell that?
KII.
KII.
And then 3.
Yeah.
And they just have a new speaker out here called Key 7.
Oh, now they're on the 7.
Let's check them out. Yeah.
Better.
Which actually is smaller than the Key 3, but they're bananas.
Nice.
Like, life-changing for me. Absolute.
Same.
There's a before and after.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
I would go plug in, and I would just say Metric Halo channel strip.
There you go.
That's a really
classic.
Good one.
I was going to say any kind of good channel strip. I mean, of course, the speaker is important, but if we're talking like a processor, any kind of channel strip that lets you, change the frequency response, change the dynamics, and maybe has a gate on it, and you can do a lot of good work with that. I bet you, Bob, if you had just that Metric Halo channel strip, you could probably do a lot of mixes with just that and a reverb and a delay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a good one too.
Pensado and I always talked about doing a mix-off with stock plugins.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we've just never done it.
We have to do it like an actual hosted competition.
Well,
you get it.
Interestingly enough, a few years ago, we had Chris Lodalgi teach a mixing course using our plugins, and one of the things we did is we had him do a mix on his SSL with all his stuff, and then do one with all our plugins. And you could probably tell where I'm going with this. The mixes were almost identical.
Sure.
I mean, they were so freaking close.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have like, we at the time, I'm not sure we had like certain compressors he would use on drums. We didn't exactly have those model, but he somehow gets to the same exact sound.
Yeah.
And it just kind of proves that guys like you, it's not really about the gear. The gear helps
that
you.
old phrase, it's the ear, not the gear.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is.
But then if you give guys like all of us like a nice clock and nice speakers, key 3s, and
it just gets easier.
It's also more fun. Less fighting.
more fun.
Yeah.
And it's funny,
I
like
think that,
my I'm all in the box, so my desert island is obviously kind of same deal. Speakers, because that's the only thing I really need to move around, or
Yeah.
And we have the Dutch and Dutch, which is like
It's the same principle. It's at least the same thought process as the keys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Heavy speakers to move around.
So yeah, they are pretty heavy.
To give an explanation of what that is, so the big enemy of a speaker in a room is reflections, and especially if you're trying to get an even bass response, what you don't want is bass to reflect off a boundary and meet at your mix position along with the direct signal of the bass. So if you've got bass coming off your speaker and bass reflected off a boundary, and these two signals are not in phase, you get a cancellation.
Right.
And if they're both in phase, you get a
doubling,
resonance. Yeah. So these are the enemies. So the goal is you want the least amount of bass reflecting off the speaker. Now bass happens to have a 360-degree
dispersion.
Yes, dispersion. Thank you. It's been a long nap. It disperses 360 degrees. So what the key does is it has different drivers in the back of the unit and inside the unit, and it cancels out all the low end going out around it in the backs and the sides. Wow. So it has a cardioid bass. So basically you're getting this really even, clean, clear bass. Now it does other things. There's time alignment. Yeah, right. It's just a beautifully built speaker.
But this is the part that's stunning. It's actually directional. It's for real.
Yeah.
And this is the first time an old friend of mine, I discovered them actually at NAMM in 2019. A friend of mine, Tony Caridi, was like, yo, come listen to my speakers. Like, I don't need any speakers. I'm fine. They come listen to my speakers. I was like, okay, fine. So I go listen to his speakers. It was one of those places they have above the food courts where it's like a concrete box, which is like the worst possible place to play a speaker. Yeah. Right? So I'm like, okay, I go in. He's my friend. I'm going to go listen to the speakers he's rapping. I sit down, and for the first time in my life, I could tell the difference between what the speaker was doing and what the room was doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because usually you're in the room, you're like, oh, this speaker suck. No, the speakers are probably fine. It's just the room suck. Mm-hmm. But because of that, what Steve just explained, because of the directionality of it, which is actually kind of like borrowed from the PA system, like an array system.
Time alignment,
you can actually tell the direct sound from the speaker from the reflections. It's stunning.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a great piece of technology. It's hard to go back after a
year. I'm not going back.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. It's a slightly different technology, but essentially the Dutch and Duchess have subwoofers on the back, which you kind of align with, and they end up being cardioid to line up with the, like you were saying, Steven, line up with the front, directionality of the speakers.
That's to me, that's the amazing. They still find shit like that to come up with.
Yeah.
You think like, what else did it? Yeah. No, it's never gonna end. Like there's new stuff that is genuinely useful that comes on the thing. Mm-hmm. For me, the speaker thing was really a turning moment in 2019, just before the pandemic. No, 2020, just before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And actually, the way I fell in love with them is I got them, and I got them. I put them up on a stand, and then poof, the world shut down. Yeah. And I had to go mix in a room that was like literally the size of a handkerchief.
Right.
And I moved those speakers into that room, and I mixed nonstop throughout the pandemic. Probably mixed like 60 songs. Yeah. Sight and scene in a room that should really be a closet. Yeah. And it came out great.
Nice.
And I was like, my babies.
Yeah. I think we all deserve new pairs of key threes for all this talk.
I agree. Yes. I agree.
Yeah. Someone let them
What's your Desert Island thing, Willie?
Yeah, Willie, I'm curious.
I don't really get to use a lot of speakers on the road. I travel a lot, so I'd have to say a pair of headphones.
Which ones?
Not just because Steven Slate's on this podcast, but I really like the VSX headphones.
Cool.
When they first came out, he sent me a pair, and it's something where a lot of times with speakers, stereo imaging is everything, and headphones, I just feel like everything's kind of a little flat. Like you can't, everything sounds really. You could have a great mix in a pair of headphones that doesn't translate, but if you there's this Chord Mojo headphone amp that I have. And sometimes like I'll use a setting on it that adds a little bit of crosstalk. Mm-hmm. This plugin, just with a pair of headphones, like with nothing else, with the VSX plugin with the headphones, it gives you that. So you get that stereo image, and then once you find a really cool The trick is not, to change the source too many times. Like switch between all these different speaker models. Just find something that gives you the full throw, so you can hear the kick drum and the full decay. There's like Mike Dean's room sounds really good to me.
Yes.
We have Mike Dean's room modeled. We have a studio called Zuma, Archon.
Archon's great.
Yeah.
NRG
is modeled. We have a nightclub. We got some cars, and we have a lot of great new studios. We just did Warren Hewitt's studio. That sounds really, really good. Nice. And then we're updating all the studios with our newest. We've got a whole new binaural modeling technology, which is just really good. Everything just keeps getting cleaner, better, more 3D, and more like, holy shit, am I listening to speakers or headphones? That's obviously the goal. We've modeled the Key 3s, which is really nice.
Oh, that's cool. Is that on your room or?
That's in the new Yellow Matter room.
Okay.
Nice. And there's an update for that coming out soon. But hey, I'm glad you like them. When Willie can choose whatever headphone he wants, so it really means a lot that you like what we're doing.
Yeah, a lot of guys that I know, a lot of very big tracking engineers actually love them because they're closed back and it's an amazing option.
Well, I know singers like them, just the response of them without the software, just for tracking vocals.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Interestingly enough, so I know a lot of singers who don't like to sing in headphones because the intonation is just weird because the image happens inside your skull. And I don't know about you guys, but I've tracked a lot of singers who they want to wedge. They want to just stand in front of the studio monitors that will go 180 degrees to try to cancel out as much leakage. And you end up singing better when you're hearing the presentation here. So when they use VSX, you can in headphones have this front presentation. And I noticed this too as a kind of a singer that you get a lot easier intonation when you have this presentation in front of you. So I know some, because there's no latency in the software. So I do know some singers who will actually use the speaker emulation and sing. Yeah, it kind of works.
Wow.
Cool. And my favorite actually is something that I do often is for certain clients that I know. What's up, Chris Murda? Shout out Murda. C Murda. I will, with certain picky clients that I know have a certain headphone, I will actually use the headphone emulations are actually amazing of other headphones. They're amazing. So I'm like, okay, I know this client has this set of headphones, so I'll check my mix before I send it on the set that I know they're going to hear it back on, obviously.
That's cool.
You know, it's a really useful one is the crappy little AirPod emulation. It's a model of the original wired pods and then the first generation wired ones. And they're not. It's not a great sounding thing, but it makes it very obvious when something's cranky in the mid-range.
Yep.
And I always try to check stuff on that. Sometimes it'll pass the studio speakers, but you throw it on that and you go, maybe that vocal's got a little bit too much 2K, you know?
Yeah. And if, for those of us that have the luxury to double check, with our studio monitors, you learn those things and you kind of figure out that, what each listening reference point is going to tell you, right?
Sure.
The low end in the club and the space in the car and stuff like that. So it's incredible.
Thank you guys. It's a really fun product for me. I gave this speech probably way too much, but I literally have a core memory of the very first time I was 16. I worked in a studio in Union, New Jersey, and they let me mix my band's EP after this client went home. And I mixed it. It was a TAC Scorpion Fostex 1-inch 24 track. I had a bunch of decent outboard gear. I mixed it on NS10s because that was just what they had. And I made it sound so good. And I went out to my Toyota Camry, my first car, put the cassette tape that I burned in there, or that I printed on there. And I honestly thought, after I hit play, I go, oh, the Camry speakers must be blown. This sounds like such shit.
Wow.
Yep. And it was a hard lesson that if you don't have an accurate speaker and monitoring system, everything you do and everything you listen to is just horseshit.
Yep.
You know,
that is the only thing. That is the thing.
You triggered me with TAC Scorpion.
What's everyone's favorite tape saturation?
Plugin?
Anything.
My favorite hasn't been released yet, and I've been waiting for a year so I can tell people. So I'll and then subsequent episode I'll mention it.
Yeah, follow up with Bob, y'all. He's working on some.
I still like the
sauce.
UAD A800. That one.
That's awesome. and their 102 I think is the best. The ATMOS 102 UAD is really hard to beat. At the beginning, I didn't know how to use it because it was so intense, and I only used the 800 on everything. And then at one point, I just started using the 102. It's because the default settings and the default setup is really kind of like, hey, I am tape, hear me tape.
Oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you back it up a little bit, you could do anything with it. It's phenomenal. It's now on my mix bus on everything.
Oh wow, there's so many like the VTM,
I was going to mention
the Phoenix Crane song.
Yep.
Yes.
Man, there's
Taupe.
Taupe.
Yeah.
There's a sat.
You do Burl stuff, right?
Yeah.
You do outboard.
DX5, with the transformer, and I use the Orca B22, so
Tight.
I just kind of mix out of that.
Yeah.
The Orca B22. That's a Burl piece, right?
Yeah, it's just it's a really great headphone amp. It's monitor controller, but it's got a BX5 output transformer that I like to kind of feel the output and know where. I'm just so used to the sound of it. We have I used a B1 mic pre on kind of everything, so I'm really used to the sound and the way it kind of saturates everything a little bit. So I really like having the BX5 on my output.
It's funny how we
Mixing
all
into
get
it.
used to our little tools. Like someone will mention something like here, and I'll go home and like, oh, let me check that out. And be like, and he said it was the most amazing thing. And I'm like, yeah, it is cool, but I'm used to mine. Just go back to what I.
Yep.
I really like the my old company Slate Digital got bought by Audiotonics, which also has the SSL plugins, and they just joined those packages, which gave me a good excuse to dive into those, and that's really good stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff in the SSL bundle.
I just discovered that in November.
Yeah.
All that SSL stuff.
Me too.
I hadn't been using it.
Me neither.
But I love the de-esser.
DS is awesome.
I own a Fusion, but all the separated modules, they're like more useful than the hardware because like the vintage drive doesn't have any noise like the hardware does.
That's one thing I hate.
The stereo image is great because I use the stereo image every mix, but if I have it all in the box mix, I can't break out to the Fusion. So having that is great.
I started using them because they were everywhere on a session I got for a 2.5 hour concert I was mixing. And I wasn't about to, and I didn't own them, and I wasn't about to replace them, so I just bought them. And they're great. Yeah. And especially the de-esser is really, really good and really fast and very easy to set up. Yeah. That was cool.
Their drum strip is really cool.
Yeah.
Transient designer on that. I mean, you can do anything on that. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is a cool one.
Well, more than anything, I like the transient designer side of it.
It's so snappy.
Yeah. Ticky. It's very ticky.
Nice.
I haven't heard that expression. I like it. Ticky.
Yeah.
What about you, Willie? What's your favorite transient designer?
Is it dangerous to use those live?
I mean, mainly I'm mixing in post, so I'm not I'm not using a lot of that live. A lot of people use like, people are using F6. I've been seeing, but I usually use Spiff and. Actually, I just work on a live record, and I tried the virtual mix rack. Transient design is really cool too.
That's a cool one. They did a great job on that one.
They have a crazy gate too, right?
Yeah, they have two gates.
The VMR.
The purple
VMR.
gate.
Yeah, they got one that's more for one that's more for drums and transient gate, and one that's more general purpose.
So when you mix something live for post, do you find yourself using a lot of gates like that? Because in studio records, I don't.
Yeah, honestly, the only gate I use is the virtual mix rack gate.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even, again, not just because Steven's here, but I've been a long-term fan of Slate's gear since it was Yellow Matter. Back with
Thanks,
like
man.
just the drum samples. But the gate that they came up with is like the best gate I've ever used. I think I said that last podcast we were on. I was just talking about that. But if I'm doing something for post, like editing a concert after, I'll just go edit everything out. I mean, of course, like
that makes sense.
you know, I'll rely on gates as much as I can, but there's nothing like just cutting that.
So here, I came up with a great question in my mind.
Yeah.
When you're mixing live concerts, and you can answer this too, for picture, how do you pan the toms?
Ha.
So, the way you see it on the screen.
Yep.
So I'll put the floor tom on the left. It's weird.
And if
but-
they suddenly have a camera behind the drummer, do you
It's
not
so hard.
No, I keep it audience
keep
perspective.
it audience.
Yeah.
And make that question with ATMOS.
Oh, Jesus.
Imagine, like, for the Snarky Puppy album, 3 drum sets, 3 percussion players,
Wow.
4 keyboard players in ATMOS, and also a full horn section plus Michael Lee on bass.
I mean, is there some point where you just have to say,
Shot in the round with the audience in the middle,
oh,
with cameras going around all the time. And I was like, you know, you go in and you're like, I know how this is going to sound. You get the vibe, you know, I'm like, it's whatever. And then you sit down and you put the picture on, you're like, oh yeah, sure. Poof, 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 poof. And then scene 2, everything's flipped. And you're like, oh shit, it sounds bad. Like, it's very weird to hear something coming from the right and seeing on the left in the
Right.
screen. It was a challenge, man.
wow.
Mixing to picture, especially in Atmos, is very odd. It's very, very interesting. I had respect for film mixers before
Yeah.
because of the sheer track count and mind share.
Yeah.
But now the decision making on that stuff is really intense.
Yeah.
So you'll match it by shot?
No, can't do that. Because that content also goes to Apple Music.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
shit can't. So you just gotta breathe through the nose a lot and just
Yeah.
be zen and just go, this is good enough for jazz.
Or,
You know?
or turn the picture off and just listen
Yeah.
too.
Well, but then the producer is like, man, you know, it doesn't feel connected. I'm like, well, stop changing angles, dude. So yeah, that's something I discovered this fall that
Yeah.
I didn't know. Would be last fall and this fall again.
Wow.
That's intense.
Yes.
I need to breathe through the nose one time after that.
Yep. That's really intense.
So what are some of our favorite guitar amps or amp sims or whatever?
The amp sim, the Neural DSP, and I heard that at your studio in Vegas. That impressed the heck out of me with Mike Orlando playing.
Yeah, with the Quad Cortex.
That
Yeah.
thing sounded incredible. But
Yeah.
this year, my favorite thing has been, I mean, it's been out a couple of years, but the UAD OX,
The
OX,
Aux amp? Yeah.
JCM 800 real amp, tube amp, into that thing, into
Done.
the computer with an iPad controlling it.
Yeah.
No need for a cabinet or a microphone. And I'm a cabinet microphone guy.
Wow.
But,
Spent a lot of time in Nashville.
yeah.
So, and just look up his credit, like I said.
But man, that thing is, it's the
amazing.
best cabinet speaker simulator, and you got the Royer 57, which is always my combo, you know,
Right.
and sounds amazing.
It's perfect.
You know?
I just did a whole thing for Yvette Young, a really great guitar player,
Yeah,
and a string orchestra. And we couldn't track, obviously, with her AC30 in the room with the
Right,
orchestra, right? So she recorded, I recorded the orchestra straight into Apollo's, and then her direct. And then we overdubbed the guitars, through an amp with aux,
Oh, cool.
and from the DI.
Yeah,
It was phenomenal.
yeah.
Wow.
It's really good.
Reamping.
It's like $1,500. It's like,
It is so
Yeah.
good. Like, I know it's good because at the studio at Flux, we have the 8 rooms, right? Number one question, where's the aux? Where's the aux? Who has the aux? Like, it's never there. Like, it's never where it's supposed to be. Somebody always checks it out.
That's
So,
funny.
you know-
And what are the ins and outs on that? Is it
So you
analog?
put- Well, this is how it works. Think of it as everything that you need to record a guitar after the head. So you have your amp head, you have your speaker cable, and the speaker cable goes into the aux,
Right.
right? And then the aux replaces the speaker
Right.
and the microphone
Right.
and the A to D. It's
Right.
just everything's in there. And then you can go out digital, optical, or a SPDIF, or you can go out analog. And also it acts as a load box. So you can pad the output back into the speaker if you want to have feedback if you want the performer to have a little bit of feedback in the speaker. So it's the best way to capture your tube amps, essentially.
Yeah, you're still using a real amp,
You have to
Right.
use a
but
real
no
amp.
speaker.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
you can be a dude in an apartment cranking a Marshall head, 100
Right.
watts.
And all you hear is the strings. Green, green, green.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, you said you reamped it after the
So
fact,
reamp
so-
means I fed the DI that was recorded with the orchestra.
Right.
I fed that into an amp, into the aux, back into Luna. So it was like real time. I was basically I made it as if she were in the room, but she wasn't using the aux.
Have you used that at all?
I have not. I want to try it. My go-to guitar sim is it's in the guitar sim plugin that was in my old bundle. It's called THU.
Oh yeah. It's a
And
good
they
one.
have basically like the Kemper profiler thing. They had their own version of it, and so we sampled Jay Baumgartner from NRGs. We sampled 3 of his amps, but one of them was the JCM 800, the modded JCM 800, and I'm telling you, I mean, I sat there and listened to the real thing versus the model, and it's like it just perfectly does the model, and all the dynamics and everything, all the mojo is there, and I just play on that thing all the time. I got two Paul Reed Smith guitars that Paul Reed Smith gave me, and well, not he didn't give them to me. He gave me a good price on them, and I just jam on that thing, and it's just fun.
Yeah, shout out to Jay, man. He's got amazing rock credits.
Oh yeah.
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 And he's got a lot of great amps. But that JC 800, I always just salivate
Shout
over
out
that amp.
Lawrence of London.
And I just salivated over that amp. And when we finally got that THU tech and we were able to sample it, I'm like, this is so cool. So
Nice.
I just love that thing.
Very cool.
What about you?
Definitely the Nero. Like, I think when you're in the room and you hear an amp, and then you go through the modeling process and you're able to compare them, then you start trusting it.
Does it have the same type of thing that does the sampling of
Yeah.
the amps? Yeah, that's
What's it called?
Nero the Quad Cortex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tech is so cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's instant. Like as a guy who models stuff, to be able to look at something and go, oh wow, that's the amp, and then it does its test files and it spits out a model, and it's like it's so close. It's like, wow, I love that.
Insane.
Yeah.
What about you, Fab?
I use the aux a lot.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Or if there's no amp involved, like if I'm in the box, I like to torture the UA Fender 55 model into doing what I want.
Oh, the Tweed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
bananas. Like
a good
if
one.
depending on how you hit it, you can make it do just about everything.
Oh wow.
I mean everything I need. I do, the music I do doesn't require Marshall. Like
Gotcha.
I don't hang out with Marshall people.
Right.
I'm a Fender. I'm a Fender / Vox kind of guy, you know.
Nice.
But
I'll hang out with whoever just hangs out with me. Marshall, Fender, like, come on.
let's put it this way:
Come on.
Marshall people don't want to hang out with me making music. I'm not credible in that realm. But so what I'm looking for is more like a drive and a specialization. That plastic feeling of a lot of emulations.
Yes.
I fucking
A lot, actually. That's the only Scuff'em S
Scuff'em.
gear.
Yep.
And then the other is, I would put that directly on guitars, but I would do the 55 in parallel. That's
Yep.
one of my favorite things to do.
It's great.
yeah.
It's
and
really
then
cool.
get the mics and
Yep.
pan them and stuff like that.
It's awesome.
So
They did a good job on that.
they did
Yeah.
a really good job on that.
I'm gonna have to jump back to my booth, but
Absolutely,
I gotta
Steven,
give a
Slate.
presentation. This
Yeah,
has
man.
been
The myth, the
really fun
legend.
talk with you guys.
Thanks for
I
coming.
really appreciate it. Bob, Willie,
Yeah.
Nico, Fab. So
Yes,
I'll
sir.
let you guys carry on. We'll
Absolutely.
sneak off on exit stage left here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Legendary presence in the building. Thank you so much,
Thank
Steven,
you guys
for
for
coming
having me.
by
I
and
really
hanging out with
appreciate
us.
it.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Cheers,
All right.
guys. Thanks, guys.
Ciao,
Rock
Steve.
and roll. Epic. This NAMM is so epic, dude.
Talk soon.
Later, Steve. You rock. Yo, shout out Steven
He's such a
Slate.
down-to-earth guy, man.
I know, and it's so smart, dude.
Yeah.
You're like, no, this guy's just a business guy. It's like, yeah, watch your tongue, boy.
No,
Don't
you
get
can't.
burned.
You can't get to that level that fast without
Right.
some serious reflection.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's one of a kind. One of a kind. No, everybody here is legendary in their own right. Absolutely. You know, absolutely, man. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap
Okay.
it up.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah.
NAMM 2024, Faders of the Lost Art live at NAMM. I think we got some pretty juicy stories in there. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Something you had in mind? Questions, plugins we're using, or techniques you're trying to pull some sauce out of?
Yeah, I just want to go see more NAMM and report back. You know.
That's right. We'll definitely be
There
reporting
you go.
back.
Sounds like a plan.
Don't miss that Flux party next year.
Yeah.
Or
She
this
can-
year, next AES.
Write me if you want to get in.
That's
There you
right.
go.
All right.
All right, y'all.
Cheers.
Faders of the Lost Art. We out.
Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. And see you next time on Faders of the Lost Art.